The car phone, a combination of two pioneering inventions, the car and telephone, may seem like a natural progression, but its early history tells a more intriguing story. In the early 1940s, Bell Labs developed the first mobile telephone service, which was first used in St. Louis, Missouri, United States on June 17, 1946. However, these early car phones were far from practical for everyday use. The original equipment weighed a hefty 80 pounds, 36 kilograms, and there were only 3 channels available for all the users in the metropolitan area. As demand increased, more licenses were added, eventually providing 32 channels across 3 bands. This service continued to be used well into the 1980s in many parts of North America. On October 2, 1946, Motorola Communications Equipment facilitated the first calls on Illinois Bell Telephone Company's new car radio telephone service in Chicago. However, due to the limited number of radio frequencies available, the service quickly reached capacity. In West Germany, the car phone service was initially introduced as the A-Net service in 1958. It reached its capacity limit of nearly 11,000 subscribers in 1971 and was subsequently succeeded by the B-Nets in 1972. The B-Nets featured direct dialing, eliminating the need for a human operator to connect calls. However, to reach a subscriber, knowledge of their location was still necessary since the handset assumed the local area code of the serving base station. In 1985, the C-Net's 1G system replaced the B-Nets. The original car phones were bulky, expensive, and often cost more than the car itself. They had limited talk time, typically lasting only a few hours, and suffered from poor signal quality, resulting in frequent dropped calls. During the early 1980s, car phones were primarily used by business executives, politicians, and affluent individuals who required connectivity while on the move. Throughout the 1990s, the popularity of car phones declined as mobile phones became lighter, more affordable, and more widespread. The mobile phone boom during that period led to a shift away from car phones. By the 2000s, car phones had become uncommon due to the convenience of mobile phones and in-car integrative technologies like Bluetooth. Although car phones became less prevalent, there were still some available as recently as 2008. Examples include the Nokia 810 and the Motorola VC6096, designed for use with GSM networks, as well as a car phone produced by NL Research for the Iridium satellite network. However, their usage had significantly diminished compared to previous decades. The history of proto-mobile phones dates back to 1908 when a U.S. patent was issued in Kentucky for a wireless telephone. However, it was in the 1940s when engineers working at AT&T developed cells for mobile phone base stations, marking the early stages of mobile phone technology. Initially, the earliest mobile phones were not truly mobile phones but rather two-way radios used by professionals such as taxi drivers and emergency services for communication. A significant turning point occurred on April 3, 1973, when Martin Cooper, an executive at Motorola, made the first handheld cell phone call. Interestingly, he dialed his rival at Bell Labs. Cooper's phone weighed just under 2.5 pounds, 1.1 kilograms, and offered approximately half an hour of usage before requiring a 10-hour recharge. These early mobile phones are often referred to as zero-G mobile phones or zero-generation mobile phones. However, it would take another 6 years before the launch of the first cellular network, known as 1G, and that too only in the central area of Tokyo. By 1984, the network had expanded sufficiently to cover the entirety of Japan. In 1983, Motorola launched the Dynety AC800X, a mobile phone developed at a cost of $100 million. It carried a price tag of around $4,000 and offered a talk time of approximately 30 minutes before its battery died. Due to its size and shape, resembling a brick, people commonly referred to it as a brick. Despite its bulky size, the Dynety AC800X was still considered the most portable telephone at the time. It allowed individuals to make calls without the constraints of wires or the need for portable phone holders. It wasn't until the 1990s that developers began releasing the second generation of mobile phones. In 1992, the IBM Simon was introduced, which is regarded as the first ever smartphone. While the Simon could make phone calls, it functioned more as a planner. Users could create task lists and store contacts, but its capabilities were limited to these features. The IBM Simon retailed at around $900 and managed to sell close to 50,000 units. It served as a stepping stone for the many smartphones that would follow in the future.